And that was a failure on leadership's part. We weren't ready for it from a leadership point of view. They weren't ready for it from their point of view. They had never worked in that world. Many of our guys came right out of school and had not seen anything but the world, the command and control world. So that was a failure there, and I feel like on that regard, we kind of broke some trust with the team. It takes a long time to build that trust back, and that's what we're doing now. We're incrementally improving this trust and building it back and letting them know that it's okay to fail. It's okay to not know the answer. I don't feel like we created a safe zone for our folks to try and fail. And I would recommend that anyone doing Agile, start with that. Let your people know that it's okay to try and not have the answer.
Creating some place where people want to be safe so you can try new things. With that, it's close to 9:30. I knew this was going to happen. It's kind of sucks when you have such great talent. You got 30 minutes to work through it. I'm hoping that you guys are going to stick around a little bit in case folks have some Q&A, very specific kind of questions.
5 minutes.
You want to do 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes. If
You want-
people have questions, raise your hand. There's folks with microphones.
Okay, I just want to state it.
One back there.
We'll start over here.
All right.
Stand up, introduce yourself.
I just had a question. My name is Carol Miller. What do you do about support? Do you have a separate team that manages all the support changes that have to come through versus the actual new development teams?
So run team versus dev team?
We do separate run from build within Nationwide, but what we do is if you're in a heavy dev cycle and it's not really a production system or in those first few releases of that production system, we rotate the break fix and run team right onto the line. And then for an iteration, we'll have even ADC associates sometimes take that break fix responsibility. A lot of our model is about attacking the SME syndrome, subject matter experts and the limitations there. So we even have pairing models where the person who knows the least about the card rotates off and or stays on, and the person who knows the most rotates off. So when we're working with our BSA partners, we try to include everybody in that equation and create a model where there's just not a break, fix, and run support knowledge, but they actually help build the system as well and understand all of the processes. We also, on the competency side, we do have a separate team who maintains kind of the skill in each of the key practice areas. So an iteration manager, competency lead, or requirements, a test automation, and a tech lead. We've broken that type of support out for the Agile lines to maintain the system in the background.
Just a opposing view for other thoughts. My vision, or our vision, is really to run them together, and that way I think it will drive some accountability. I think they'll learn from their mistakes on their products, and the people that originally developed it the first time, if they know it's going to come back to them, if it gets through the process and there's defects in the code, our thought is to run it back through that same team and hold them accountable and have them take it. Now, I may find out that that is the absolute wrong way to do it, but so just from a vision standpoint, though, I think there's some value, at least for Worthington, to try and run it through the same team and keep most of that confined, if that's the right word.
Next question? You got one up there?
Dan back.
We have one upstairs.
No, right.
No, right back there.
Hi, I'm Jay Castro, and I just was wondering if you have any experience running Agile teams successfully with offshore components.
We're just looking into that. I have an objective this year to get a distributed offshore team. We're starting in several ways. One, we have a process where you take a card and it's ready for three amigos, which is the developer, the tester, and the requirements person working together. Then it's ready for dev, and then from there it goes back ready for test. What we're finding is that the critical path on that ready for dev is the development time. So if you think of having like a 16-hour day development window, we can extend the day with our offshore resources in a handoff where the offshore resources are taking over the card, and then they come back in the morning and turn it over. We haven't moved to a full agile offshore model yet, and you can't replicate the product owner component of it. But we're working with several vendors around follow the sun models, global models, and they're committed to learning our system and a 15% rotation where their staff comes into Nationwide for a period of time and then rotates back. So we think it is going to be a challenge, but there's kind of a fit in a specific formula that would be possible depending on the life cycle of the project. What we're looking at is projects where the pattern is highly established and repeatable. Those are great targets for offshore to just do parallel development. But establishing a new pattern, we would keep that type of agile team more local.
I'll just, excuse me, I'll just add that I haven't done this at Huntington yet, but at a prior employer, we did do offshore development, and while it wasn't 100% true agile, we were doing development offshore. And let me just share a couple things that I felt were key to success. What we did was we brought several of the people from India over to the United States and actually sat and worked with the business units. And so they would come in 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning and work till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And they were there for that handoff for a good 2 or 3 hours between the U.S. and India. And so the teams really started to blend into the business teams. To the point where they came to the Christmas parties, they were part of the business. And the more they understood the business and the more they understood what we were doing, the better the handoffs went, and the quality continued to go up as they became more immersed in what the business was trying to solve. So that was one of the key takeaways that I would share, is that you're going to have to get that business knowledge over to your offshore developers. Whether you go over there or they come over here, you got to get them instilled into your culture and what you're trying to accomplish.
Next question.
Ben, we have one up here.
Hi, Mark Harris from Grange Insurance. From Huntington, you mentioned that there were some challenges around the facilities initially when you went to desks and stuff. And I imagine that extends to HR and all the institutionalization pieces of Agile. I wonder if you guys can talk a little about how you dealt with performance reviews, all the standard corporate stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, those challenges are still going to come, right? So one thing that was good was that prior to me coming to Huntington is I had a commitment from our CEO that if I came, that he would invest, and that helped tremendously to have that top level engagement and cover. So there's one thing I've talked with my teams, and I feel like the IT teams are starting to feel this as well, is that one thing about putting people in a pod or in a line or on a team is that they almost start to perform themselves, right? They start to manage themselves from a performance perspective. They're only as good as the weakest link, and so if the weakest link is not performing, they all either want to pick that person up or get them off the team. So performance management, that's one of the cool things about Agile, is I feel like performance management takes a lot off of the manager and starts to become more of the team itself, which is a good thing. Now, how that impacts HR and finance, I know some of those questions are coming. Prepared for them, but I know they're coming.
Let me just throw out that a lot of existing performance systems out there are based on the old sort of Henry Ford model of, I tell people what to do, I measure and manage them against that. There's a quota system. That is 100 years old. That is a 100-year theory of managing people. Okay? Agile in how we're doing self-managed work teams, self-directed, all those kind of things, breaks that model pretty significantly. And so for any of you that have HR sort of consultant folks, this is a really big area for someone to make a lot of money to figure out that magic formula. It really is. This is a really big deal.
We figured it out.
Kelly's number is.
Having figured it out.
So the reason I said it, let's just acknowledge that for sustainability of Agile in an environment, there's some pretty significant implications. associated with HR performance systems, HR management systems that need to be in play. There's also some pretty significant implications regarding pathing, right? Historical HR systems and reward systems reward for people for being in the same job for multiple years, right? What we're saying is we want people who are polyglot, specializing generalists who could move and flow based on the work to be done. So what's the model for career pathing in that? There's not an answer for that, but there's probably a whole track next year around HR in some of the systems in organizations that have to shift to support sustainability of agile teams.
Okay, I think we need to.
Time to end that?
Yep.
All right, with that, thank you so much for your attention. We are blessed to have the company of some pretty incredible people up here. I think anyone sounds like the environments you're creating would be great places to work. So if you're looking for a cool place, those folks that raise their hands, I want to be an Agile team, go to their websites. I think Rich is looking for .NET folks. Just might be. So with that, let's give them a hand. Thank you very much.